Hey everyone, so in today's session I wanted to talk about fluency. Like, what is that? So anyways, I discovered 4 things, so I'll let you know in a bit. Okay, so what is fluency? Well, first of all, fluency, it flows, right? Fluency. I'd like to think of it as like the river. I put some notes in here saying, it has to be like a river. You gotta be like a river. To get fluency, you gotta kind of know what it's like being like water, flowing, all that stuff, right? So, first of all, you have to understand one thing. Understand it. So, seeing the river, I put in here seeing the river, seeing it, like viewing it, just like kind of just not really have to be by a river if you can think of water itself, how it flows. It's like simple as that. Right? Simple as water, how it flows, it just flows. So what does that mean for fluency? Think about it. Flow, when we're talking about flow, most of the time people think, well, I don't know if I have flow. Think about it as like when something passes you, you just let it pass. So, for example, when it comes to languages, specifically with languages, let it flow, let it pass, let it go, right? We've all seen Frozen, that movie, right? So, acknowledge that you missed something, but keep going. And don't forget to breathe. This is why we actually do those things, like when we get nervous, you go like, we sigh, we take a breath, we kind of just like, we're always kind of like this nervous sort of always we want to be perfect, right? So that's one of those things that I do all the time. For me, I remember when I was like younger, when I was in university, I would always try to like go for vocabulary, go for this and all that stuff. I just wanted to know, I wanted to know. I started to realize that as I even getting my degrees, even getting my certificate and all that stuff from my university, it was just like, it really didn't do anything. I just got the information, that's it. I wasn't actually part of the flow itself. I'll explain more about what this means as we go along. Okay, so number 1 is understanding the flow. Seeing the river for what it is. No judgment, no perfection, none of that adult brain, none of that stuff. Just breathe. Breathing actually helps you go with the flow as well, because you have breath, right? What is it, 70-80% water or something like that? So try to understand that flow also from within. I know this sounds a little more like less language stuff, more spiritual stuff, but really it's all connected, right? So number 2 is ride the river. So what do I mean by ride the river? What the heck is that? I'm going a river? Like, you want to connect, right? So if you think about how life works itself, like when you plant a seed, right? And you look at, let's say for example, you plant a seed and you see this, there's this time-lapse video I saw online. I was like, oh, okay, cool. It shows how this seed was planted, and it was literally, so it takes time. Things take time. So if you look at it from like the perspective of, say, acceleration versus combustion, you try to force things, it will explode in your face, right? That's forced speed. You cannot go into the flow of things. You cannot go into where you want to be unless you start out where you are first. So I wrote in my notes here, stillness first. Try to find the stillness, and then you'll understand what flow is, right? If you look at how rivers start off, right? They don't start off as a river, right? So stillness will understand flow. But if you're always just wanting and you want to covet things, what happens is that you get turbulence. You forcing things, right? This applies to all that connecting, being in the zone. When I was, again, younger, I hardly found time to be in the zone. But now that I do a lot more things, and yes, because I'm older, maybe that has something to do with it, but the point is, I'm in the zone and I'm in the moment. You know, when you're hanging out with friends and you're just right there, instead of running away from the situation, you're actually just enjoy their presence, just being with friends. It's not what you do with friends, it's the fact that you are with that friend or that person, that loved one, lover, family, whatever. Okay. Number 3. Okay, think about what rivers carry, right? So be the river. Want to be the river. Go inside. Think about that. What is fluency? What does it have to do with river? It's like a river that flows. It carries with it what? Right? I'm going to show you here. Some pictures here I saw. You look at like dead trees or trees. It's not really dead, like sediments. You look at this one. You got bacteria probably in there. You got viruses probably, of course. All those things, and also temperature, driftwood, those kind of things, right? So think about it sort of this analogy of the river in terms of fluency, what it carries with you. Fluency is sort of really, really, really important to have, especially with languages and communication. Developing that is a process of absorbing the structure or where, meaning, so grammar, content, which is vocabulary, sounds, which is intonation, and body language, which is culture and personality. But be the river. If you ever saw the TV show, called Avatar Korra, Nilo, he goes, be the leaf, right? So one of the things I've always done when it comes to being the river is always finding time to meditate, finding times to do things that are creative, things that are childlike, things that are making me sort of go inside. Right? So when it comes to that, you want to be the river. Right? If you also think about what's inside a river, and if you look at it, if you remove the river itself, this one here, these are the effects of river. Stones that were once like rough kind of polishes, it gets polished, right? So that's amazing. Think about the process that happens, right? It's kind of the same thing as when you are growing a tree or any sort of growth sort of process, right? You want to make sure that you're not even trying, you're just allowing. So that's one of those things that I always do when it comes to language. I don't force anything anymore. I stopped that about 3 years ago, and it's just, yeah. Okay, fourth secret. The fourth secret is the water cycle. Now it ties kind of back to number 1, which is understanding flow, and water cycle, so going beyond the river. Okay? The water cycle is basically this thing that just flows, right? If you think about nature itself, it cycles itself. It goes from the oceans and it evaporates into the air, condensates, and then you get precipitation, right? And then it runs off to groundwater and flows back to rivers and then back and forth. If you think about language as just information, let go of that. It's more about the fact that it's like life itself. You don't want to miss out on anything because you're worried about one thing. It's like, oh, I need to be perfect. I need to get that. What was that word? I don't understand that mean. What was that? I have to look at a dictionary, all those things. You translate. It doesn't work. It does not work. Right? So I wrote down here, don't go chasing waterfalls. That song by, I forgot what this group's name is. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Anyways, there's that song, right? So, so don't go chasing that. So I wanted to ask a question, actually going back to number 3 and number 4. Same thing. Is ask yourself a question. Do rivers start out as rivers? If you think about it, it doesn't. They don't start out as rivers, right? Look at that. The flow of water and how it changes the landscapes, right? It's amazing, just within a few years. And you really think about, does it start off as a river? No, it doesn't. Same thing with yourself. Same thing with like a seed. It doesn't start off that way. Another question I wanted to pose was, what do you know will happen when you do chase things, when you do perfect things? What happens? Right? I want you to think hard about that. Because I used to do that stuff too. I really did. I did all the translating stuff, textbook, corrections, grammar, subtitles, movies, all those things. Never led to anything. I remember some things, but it didn't really I didn't have fluency. I didn't have confidence. Right? I prefer to just absorb everything else, right? Absorb accuracy, and this is what fluency does. When you are acquiring language, this is what happens. So another question is, why do you think we enjoy stories? Well, think about it. If you are flowing with the river, what happens is that you get sort of mesmerized by the flow itself. Then you just want to go through it. And then you do something like whitewater rafting, or you do swimming or something like that. And you want to keep going back. Why? Because you're enjoying it, right? That's what I enjoy. That's what I notice for myself. I start enjoying things now, and fluency has changed so much, right? But I'm not here to prove all that. I want you to try and give it a try. See for yourself. Give yourself several days, weeks, even months. See where your progress is at. But it did work for me. It's still working for me when it comes to at least 2 languages that I'm in: English, German, and Danish. Okay, so the whole point is, it's all about the flow. It's all about being in the moment. So there you go, guys. There are the 4 secrets to fluency that I discovered. Okay, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear your comments down below. What are your experiences with fluency? I mean, do you feel that... Yeah, what are your experiences with fluency? That's just a question I want to pose. Okay, in a case... oh, and I also wanted to mention before I forget, I'm going to look at my other link on how to acquire languages. There's 2 I'm going to post here. I believe 2 or 1 of the 2, on how I have acquired languages, and also how to develop fluency. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Again, my question back then was, what is your experience with fluency? I forgot. I'll go back to that and I'll type it in the subtitles. In any case, I'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Have a great day or week.